Welcome to Crime Curio, the channel where we delve into the mysterious and gripping world of true crime. Today's episode takes us through the tragic and haunting events of the Petit family case. But before we begin, if you enjoy exploring real-life mysteries and crime stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss an episode. The Petit family was like a perfect example for everyone, with a strong economy and well-behaved kids. People really liked and looked up to them. William Petit, the dad, was born and grew up in Connecticut. He was amazing at sports, especially basketball, where he was a great leader. Besides being athletic, he was also the smartest in his class and even got a law degree from Dartmouth University. But deep down, he didn't want to be a lawyer. He wanted to help people, take care of the sick, and make the world better. After finishing school, he chose to become a doctor at the University of Pittsburgh. While doing his medical training at the Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, William met Jennifer Hawke. She was a nurse in the cancer care area and co-ran the health center's pre-graduate internship. They fell in love, got married in 1985, and soon welcomed their first daughter, Hayley. Wanting a bigger family, they bought a house in Cheshire, Connecticut. In 1995, their second daughter, Michaela, was born. Jennifer, after recovering from childbirth, continued her job as a nurse. Unfortunately, she later got multiple sclerosis, a disease she fought for the rest of her life. Despite the challenges, their family always supported her. When their eldest daughter was 10, she started raising funds for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society, bringing in a significant amount. Over time, Michaela also did well in school and planned to continue her sister's fundraising work when she went to college. She spent the summer learning to cook and often made meals for her family. Unfortunately, this regular activity led the family to a fateful encounter with their perpetrator one July night in 2007. Michaela was cooking dinner but needed more ingredients, so she and her mother went to the nearest market. At the same place was Joshua Komisarjevsky, recently released from prison. Joshua's childhood was tough. He was born to teenage parents, put up for adoption, and adopted by the Komisarjevsky family, known for their reputation as distinguished artists in Europe. Despite his high IQ, his upbringing was strict and religious. He had a tough time in school, so his parents decided to teach him at home. During a trial, he mentioned that he was mistreated by a cousin when he was a child, but his family kept it a secret. This difficult experience led him to become rebellious and chaotic. At the age of 14, Joshua Komisarjevsky faced accusations of mistreating his sister, marking the beginning of his life as a thief. In 2002, he was arrested for burglary and theft, receiving a 9-year prison sentence. During the trial, he made unsettling statements about enjoying invading people's privacy. Released on parole in 2007, officials considered him a danger, but the jury thought differently. After release, he lived with other former inmates and met his partner, Stephen Hayes. Hayes spent a significant part of his life in prison, first being incarcerated at the age of 16 in the year 1980. Over the years, he was frequently arrested for violent robbery and burglary. He was sentenced in 2004 and again granted parole in 2006, leading him to the same halfway house where he met Komisarjevsky. Returning to the night of July 22, 2007, Michaela Petit was preparing dinner for her family but realized she needed more ingredients for her recipe. She asked her mother to take her to the nearest market to shop. Little did they know they were being observed by Komisarjevsky, who meticulously noted every detail, the make and model of their vehicle, their faces, and Michaela's blonde hair. After shopping, the Petit family returned home, unaware they were being followed. Shortly afterward, Hayes sent a text to Komisarjevsky saying, "I'm chopping at the bit to get started. Need a margarita soon." Hayes then texted, "We still on?" Komisarjevsky replied, "Yes." Hayes's next text asked, "Soon?" To which Komisarjevsky replied, "I'm putting the kid to bed. Hold your horses." Hayes replied, "Dude, the horses want to get loose." Komisarjevsky discreetly trailed the family in his car, learning the exact location of their home before withdrawing from the scene. The family enjoyed what seemed like a peaceful dinner, unaware it would be their last together. In the early hours, while everyone slept, except for Father William Petit, who had dozed off in the living room, their peace was shattered by strange noises inside the house. The next thing William remembered was a sense of grogginess, pain, and an inability to formulate a coherent thought. Komisarjevsky and Hayes had entered the house through an unlocked door, initially, planning to rob the family. However, the night took a tragic turn when they found a baseball bat in the house and used it to repeatedly beat William, who remained conscious despite the assault. He heard one of the intruders say, "If he moves, shoot him." William was then tied up with zip ties and ropes, immobilized and bound to a pole in the basement. The intruders then went upstairs to find Hayley's room where she was sleeping. Hayley and Michaela Petit were tied to their bedposts with their hands and feet, and their heads were covered with pillowcases. Meanwhile, in the master bedroom, Jennifer Petit had fallen asleep. The intruders quietly entered the room, woke her up, and easily tied her, hands and feet, feeling in control of the house. The intruders took their time inspecting the house, even smoking cigarettes in the living room. After collecting jewelry, cash, and other valuables, they decided to leave. And it seemed the ordeal was over for the Petit family as they heard the burglars leaving. However, their torment was far from over. After selling the stolen items at a pawn shop and realizing they hadn't gotten as much money as expected, the ex-convicts, motivated by greed, decided to return to the house. They found a check register with $40,000 and decided to steal $155,000. They also stopped to fill a couple of gasoline cans before returning, as seen in surveillance camera footage. Back at the house, they told Jennifer their plan, threatening to kill her entire family if she didn't cooperate. Desperate but thinking of her daughter's safety, Jennifer had to comply. Jennifer agreed to go with Stephen to the bank. While she was away, Joshua took advantage of her absence and entered Michaela's room. He untied her, undressed her, and assaulted her, taking pictures with his phone. Afterward, he took her to the bathroom to clean her, ensuring no DNA evidence was left. Then he told her to put her pajamas back on and tied her up again. Evidence of Komisarjevsky's assault on Michaela was found during her autopsy, where the state medical examiner discovered his DNA in her body. At the bank, things seemed to go smoothly, but Stephen didn't notice what Jennifer did. Before approaching the teller, she wrote a note on a flyer asking for help. The note said, "My name is Jennifer Hawke-Petit. I need to withdraw $115,000 from my savings account. My family is in danger. Please call the police or they will be killed." Despite lacking identification, the teller gave her the money. Jennifer left the bank with her captor, and the bank employee immediately called the police too. "Report the incident." The Cheshire police, upon receiving the report, assessed the situation and set up a vehicle perimeter without revealing their presence. They observed from a distance without intervening, staying aware of the situation back at the house. Joshua told his partner about what he did to Michaela, hinting he could do the same to Jennifer without any hesitation. Stephen then overpowered Jennifer, pushed her to the ground, and started undressing her. William, upstairs, could hear his wife being attacked. He shouted and heard one of the invaders saying, "Not to worry, it would be over in a few minutes." Meanwhile, William, regaining consciousness and hearing his wife's screams, managed to free himself. He crawled to the basement stairs and eventually made it to the backyard. Later, he expressed, "I thought it's now or never. In my thoughts at that moment, I believed they might shoot us all very soon." Joshua went to check on William but discovered he had escaped. Hayes, during a confession, mentioned that while assaulting Hawke-Petit, Komisarjevsky informed him that William had gotten away. Upon hearing this, Stephen strangled Jennifer to death while continuing his assault. Shortly after, they heard William shouting for help. His neighbor, unable to recognize him initially due to injuries, called 911, realizing the police would arrive soon. To erase all evidence, Hayes and Komisarjevsky doused Jennifer's lifeless body and parts of the house, including the daughter's bedrooms and the daughters themselves, with gasoline. Investigators later found the accelerant on the Petit sisters' beds and clothing. Unaware of the authorities blocking the area a few miles ahead, they collided with a police vehicle within 5 minutes. After the police surrounded them, the two criminals were taken out of their vehicle and arrested. They were quickly identified as former prisoners. Meanwhile, a fire was spreading rapidly in the house. An ambulance came and took the seriously injured father, Dr. William Petit, to the nearest hospital. Soon after, firefighters tried to put out the fire. When they succeeded, they found a terrible scene in the remains of the house. The first body discovered was Jennifer, sitting with rope remnants around her ankles. Going upstairs, they found Michaela tied to her bed, consumed by the fire. Surprisingly, Hayley had managed to free herself but collapsed. Nearby, due to inhaling too much smoke, William, having freed himself, crawled to a neighbor's yard for help. At first, the neighbor couldn't recognize him because of the severity of his injuries. Both Hayes and Joshua confessed to the murders. Detectives said that Hayes smelled like gasoline when they questioned her. Each accused the other of being the main planner behind the home invasion. Joshua also blamed William for the murders in his diary, calling him a coward. He claimed that William could have saved his family if he wanted to. Stephen Hayes' trial began on September 13, 2010, with a jury of 7 women and 5 men. The defense argued that Joshua Komisarjevsky was the mastermind behind the crime, escalating its violence. Prosecutors believed both Hayes and Joshua shared responsibility. On October 5th, after about 5 hours of thinking, the jury found Hayes guilty. The sentencing phase began on October 18th, with the jury initially split on recommending life, imprisonment, or death. Hayes' defense argued that life imprisonment without parole would be a harsher punishment. On November 8th, the jury recommended the death sentence for Hayes on each of the 6 capital felony counts. Earlier, Hayes had tried to negotiate a plea bargain for a life sentence, but prosecutors wanted the death penalty. Dr. William Petit, the only survivor, commented on the verdict. The Connecticut State Judicial Branch offered post-traumatic stress assistance to jurors because of the trial's disturbing nature. This was the first time they provided such help to jurors who served for 2 months on the triple murder trial, given the disturbing images and gruesome testimony they had to endure. On December 2, 2010, Hayes said sorry for the pain he caused the Petit family. He mentioned that death would be a relief for him and hoped it would bring peace to those he hurt. Judge John Blue gave him 6 death sentences and an additional 106 years for other crimes. However, in August 2015, Connecticut abolished the death penalty, and Hayes' death sentence was changed to life imprisonment. Joshua Komisarjevsky's trial began on September 19, 2011. His lawyers offered a guilty plea for a life sentence, but prosecutors wanted the death penalty, arguing that Komisarjevsky was influenced by Hayes. Komisarjevsky was found guilty on October 13, 2011, and the jury recommended the death penalty on December 9, 2011. During his sentencing, Komisarjevsky expressed shame and hurt, insisting he didn't intend to kill anyone. However, like Hayes, his death sentence was changed to life imprisonment in August 2015 when Connecticut abolished the death penalty. The trials and sentences of Hayes and Komisarjevsky were significant and challenging for Connecticut's legal history. The brutal crimes and emotional toll on everyone involved, including the jurors, highlighted the complexities of dealing with such heinous acts. Dr. Petit's statements during the trials emphasized the lasting impact on surviving family members and the community, which continues to honor the victim's memory. The only survivor, Dr. William Petit, was discharged from the hospital 4 days after being admitted. Haunted by guilt, he later established a foundation to help children and young victims of violence, raising hundreds of thousands of dollars. Subsequently, he became a member of the Republican Party. He entered politics and became a state representative after being part of the political party. The Petit family murders had a lasting impact on the community, prompting an annual gathering to remember them. Questions persist among family members and the public about whether the authorities responded appropriately. The time spent by the authorities observing from a distance might have played a crucial role in preventing the tragedy. Thank you for watching, guys.